State Warriors, they've won 3 in the last 4 years, and they seem to be on one of those incredible runs. A dynasty even. Can we start to call them that yet? Do you think they've earned that right?
Well, I think there's a core group of the Warriors that are in that conversation and have earned that right to be in that discussion. You talk about Curry, Thompson, Green, even though the roster around those three guys has really evolved over the last 3 or 4 seasons with different glue guys around them. Now you have to start to think about Kevin Durant in that last, 2 to 3 years.
Andre Iguodala?
Andre Iguodala as well is in that core group of guys. And so what they have accomplished, we keep saying we won't see it again when we talk about young players, the turnover in professional sports now. But they're also proving that we will see it again because these guys are serious about what they do. And they strive to be excellent at this job, and the Warriors are doing so.
And they are a dynasty. Let's face it. I mean, you win 3 out of 4, and they're the odds-on favorite to get back to the finals this year. That's what a dynasty is. And quite frankly, in today's era, that's arguably even more difficult than 20 years ago winning 3, because the level of talent, I think, overall is higher. You're starting to see it play out this year where even though they're still the odds-on favorite, teams are getting closer.
Yes.
You look at the top of the Eastern Conference, teams like Denver. Denver's a lot like Golden State was 4 years ago. Going into the season at Golden State's first championship, no one thought Golden State was going to be champion that year. No one was predicting that they would be the winner, just like no one predicted that Denver would be in a dogfight for the 1 seed at this stage of the season. But those young guns are starting to prove that they are legit, and with each game, they're gaining confidence.
I'm going to mention 2 of your favorite words. Don't get too excited, right? Shot quality. Yeah. How has that changed with DeMarcus Cousins in the lineup? Look, in 12 of the last 14 games, the Warriors have 30 or more assists. In 9 of those games, DeMarcus Cousins has been on the floor.
And I think you hit it. It is really about the value of the shots. They're already great shooters, but unlike a lot of teams, they don't really ever have to take what we call 9-1-1 shots. They're going to allow the basketball to dictate who takes the shot, and because in essence they're always going to have 4 guys who they're more than comfortable taking that shot. And now you have a situation where Boogie's got to buy it, because it's not about ego right now. It's about winning. And he, I think, in a lot of ways will benefit long-term from this experience as well, because the only time he's ever been on a team like this has been USA Basketball. And if he's getting 15 and 7, that's the equivalent of what he averaged last year with New Orleans, because, again, he doesn't have to carry the load. He's not going to face double and triple teams. So his shot quality, along with the rest of that team, is going to improve. Boy, they are becoming a juggernaut. I'm anxious to see what team's going to be able to stand up and compete with them once they get going.
That's a great point that you mentioned, his stats at 15 and 7. It seems like it's a far cry from what Boogie was doing last year when he was at 28 and 13, and you're like, oh, he's an MVP candidate. Fish, when you're trying to win a championship and you have to give up some of those numbers and you're trying to compete at that level, what does it do for the entire team when Boogie's able to do that and have that mentality?
Well, I think it's a way of showing leadership. Right? Every team they have captains, or they have key guys that are the voice, the strength of the team. Draymond Green gets a lot of that credit. Steph Curry is kind of quieter than Draymond, but those 2 guys, it's their team. And then Durant has come on. Iguodala is also a kind of a leadership guy. But when Boogie Cousins is able to step into this situation, buy in from the beginning, and not try and be the DeMarcus Cousins that existed prior to being in Golden State, but really step onto the floor and fit into what the Warriors have already built prior to his arrival, it says a lot about him. It says a lot about what they've created there in Oakland. And it's making it more difficult to play against them. Yeah. He improves the spacing for a team that already plays with great spacing and ball movement. And so it's even harder to defend them now with him on the floor compared to when he isn't.
With that, we'll continue our Warriors talk with Anthony Slater, who covers them for The Athletic. Anthony, great to have you on the show. Warriors, again, rolling, won 14 of their last 15. This team back to their dominant ways. They've dished out more than 30 assists in 12 of their recent games. Why is the ball movement so good right now and improved so drastically?
I think mostly like Cousins' debut kind of charged them up focus-wise at a time of the season, as you guys kind of all know, where Steve Kerr calls it the dog days. It's the weeks before the All-Star game. Everyone's kind of begging for that vacation time to come. But right now they're just, DeMarcus is really energized, and that's kind of energized the team. And when they are focused, they play pretty basketball. They zip it around. And, Klay Thompson's shooting unbelievably. He had that slump early in the season. I think he's 50% from three since the start of January. That helps the assists when your shooters are just knocking it down. Steph's obviously playing well, KD. And then Cousins has really helped their second unit, where now when they put KD and Steph on the bench at the same time, you can still now play through DeMarcus Cousins.
Kevin Durant's looming free agency and the rumor mill seemed to be a point of contention for the Warriors early this season. Had they simply just moved past that and focused on a championship, or is there something else we're not seeing with this team and their focus?
Well, I mean, it just depends on when it pops up. Obviously, it was a huge thing that loomed over the team early in the season, where I think it was about Game 11, where that Draymond KD dust up, whatever you want to call it, on the bench happened. And it was a really kind of awkward mood in the locker room for maybe a couple weeks. And Steph was hurt at the same time. And I think they went something like, 7-8 over a 15-game stretch. But then, time kind of healed that wound. I think they talked it out a little bit, and it wasn't a topic. But then, of course, with what the Knicks have done, maneuvering with that Porzingis trade, has bubbled up the rumor that KD's really looking at New York this summer. And then obviously KD didn't talk to the media, and it became kind of a swirling story around here and even league-wide. And then KD had that blow-up the other night to the media, which I actually think helped alleviate some of the locker room pressure. I think that the guys kind of enjoyed that he came out and so forcefully went at us a little bit, and they were in a really good mood in Phoenix the other night, and we'll see tonight.
One thing you said there, let's focus on that. The Warriors were 7-7 in the month of November. And at that time period, Steph Curry was out. Draymond Green missed some time. And, of course, Boogie wasn't healthy yet. And the question for this team was, do they have enough depth? So if they have an injury when you go into the postseason, do you believe they have enough depth to overcome any of those injuries?
I mean, depends on kind of where they get it. Right now, their center is thin, and it was really thin when Cousins was out because the guy that was starting early in the year, Damian Jones, tore his pec. So he's basically out for the year. Looney stepped in well, but Jordan Bell's kind of had a disappointing year too. So they're sitting there really playing one center for a while, and Looney, and he's kind of undersized. Cousins has helped push Looney kind of down the totem pole where he fits well into a bench role. But they still struggle with size. I mean, Joel Embiid came into Oakland in their lone loss they've had really in the last month. And really pushed them around inside, especially Looney. So I think they're a little vulnerable at the center, but, there's rumors they're thinking about trying to go in the buyout market. If Robin Lopez can wiggle free from Chicago, I think he'd help maybe shore that up. But, I think they got a pretty deep, 9-10-man rotation they're comfortable with in the playoffs.
Certainly we'll have to keep an eye on the Warriors and their depth at the center position then. Anthony Slater, appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Speaking of the